Hello and a wonderful good afternoon and Merry Christmas, everybody.
It's not yet Christmas, but welcome to our last academy for this year, FotoFinder and Friends, Christmas edition with my cases of the year.
It's so Christmassy, people. It's damn cold over here.
No, in Bad Birnbach, inside our studio.
No, let's be honest. It's not yet snowing, people. It's not yet snowing, but the forecast is maybe, if we are lucky, on the 24th, we're going to have snow here
Well, let's
in
see.
Bavaria.
I only believe it when I see it.
Señoras, señores, ladies and gentlemen, the last academy of the year. What a year. What a year, Catherine. What a year.
Oh, my dear.
We had the World Congress of Dermoscopy.
In Buenos Aires.
We had the World Congress of Dermatology. No, that was last year, right?
It was last year.
My God.
And they will all repeat in 2027.
Unbelievable. But the World Congress of Dermoscopy was, for me, the event of the year in Buenos Aires. Unforgettable place. And really, for those who were not there, you really missed something. I hope for the next one in Leo, you will join. But today, we have a program.
We have wonderful speakers. We have the executive board of the IDS, even more. Yeah. And we are really looking forward to what they present.
Beautiful. Let us start with introduction.
Switch them on.
And go from Bavaria to La Bella Napoli, the city of love, of and football
pizza.
Love, and pizza.
Hello to everybody.
Elvira, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
It's wonderful to have you with us, Elvira. Thank you very much for joining.
And from Naples to Rosario in Argentina.
The city
Gabriel.
of Lionel Messi, señoras, señores. Gabriel.
Hello, Moja. Hello, Moja, Catherine. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's really a pleasure for me to be sharing with you this
Gabriel, after
academy.
such a successful World Congress that you organized, come on, it's a great honor to have you with us.
Yeah.
What a World Congress.
Yeah.
It's turned out really good. We are very happy with the results of our Congress in Buenos Aires.
Wonderful. From Rosario, Argentina, we go to the capital of, actually, el capital del mundo, Athens, Greece, Grande Emilio Lallas.
And since today, he's not only president, he's also full professor. Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations, Emilio.
Thank you. Guys, do you want me to show you what's the weather here in Greece?
Oh,
Yes,
please.
Oh, what a sun! What a sunshine!
So are you in beachwear where we can see it?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
No, seriously.
Hello.
It's wonderful to have the three of you with us. You have embodied all the events and success stories of dermoscopy in the year 2024 with the great highlight in Buenos Aires. Again, I believe a World Congress in Latin America for the first time was beautiful. And I must be honest with you, it was my World Congress. I enjoyed every second of it. And the city of the country of Maradona and Messi, with Gabriel, Horacio Cabo. Guys, you were incredible host, Gabriel, seriously. Unforgettable.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We have a lot of fun in Buenos Aires.
Gabriel, what was your highlight this year? I'm sure it was the World Congress, right?
Definitely. We have been working since Thessaloniki for the World Congress. We had the online meeting because of pandemic, and now in last October we held the World Congress. So definitely the highlight of the year.
And Elvira, what was your highlight?
Sure, the World Congress of Dermoscopy, of course. That's an incredible one. Yeah, beautiful speakers, atmosphere, everything, the city. First time in Latin America for me, so very good.
Okay, it was your first time going to Argentina. For Emilio, it was not the first time.
In Argentina?
Yeah.
No, it was not the first.
Not.
It was also not the last.
Definitely not.
Yeah, after Mendoza, you know that Emilio, he's definitely, he prefers more Mendoza than Buenos Aires, probably.
But in Mendoza, there's no Chardonnay, right? It's more the red wine country.
Yeah, but the Malbec is just incredible. I mean, My God, my God. Guys, let's do some advertisement for Argentina because I think for many people, it was the first time. And thanks to the World Congress, they had the opportunity to travel to Argentina. And I'm sure the majority fell in love because they stayed either before or after the event and traveled through Argentina. What a country, and a country that is actually getting better and better economically. We have got Gabriel. I think you're feeling much better since the first time since many years. When I talk to you, you see a light at the end of the tunnel.
We feel quite stable for the first time maybe in my life. I don't know which will be the final result, but we were used to be in a continuous roller coaster, and now we are quite stable, which is very, very unusual for us.
Yeah.
Except usually, indeed, in December. December is always quite chaotic in Argentina, and we are having a very, very good time in many ways.
Good, good. No, I'm happy to hear that. Seriously, you guys.
But let me tell you about that in the World Congress, which of course was the best World Congress of the IDS ever, but this is natural because it's always expected that the next one should be better than the previous, otherwise.
Sure.
So every time, of course, in a World Congress, the atmosphere is influenced a lot by the local people who, by definition, are, I mean, the majority in the audience. And what I was anyhow sure about, but it was even more than I expected, was the presence of the local community. I'm not speaking also about Gabriel and Horacio, who are, I mean, we know them very well and we knew about them. I'm speaking about the colleagues, the people that attended the rooms and the sessions. They were really fantastic, so enthusiastic, so interactive, so optimistic, you know, although they probably experienced several problems, but it was really a fantastic atmosphere. And I think that everybody felt this, unique
Totally
atmosphere.
agree.
Even the weather.
Even the weather was beautiful, yes.
Even the weather was perfect.
So many young people also.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Majority were young.
Senora, signori, let us.
Just one thing, because Aimilios is the one who has to leave first because he's on a conference and has to do a speech, right?
Okay.
And so maybe we will start with Aimilios today. And as he has to leave, maybe just some question. What are you looking forward next year? What is the IDS planning? Just to give us a little bit an idea of what you're thinking of.
Are you sure that you want to tell you what the IDS is planning for next year? I mean, we will spend half the session.
But give us a highlight, Emilio. Come on. What is the highlight of next year?
The highlight of next year. The highlight of the next year maybe is that we will accomplish. And since Elvira is here, this is very much related to her task in the IDS. We will accomplish to provide the biggest free educational source on dermoscopy, open and free to all the members of the IDS all over the world. That's a dream that we have many, many years.
Wow.
And it's coming very, very close to realization. So I guess that by the end of the next year, we will have something to show.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So people, dear audience, IDS is free of charge with the goal and objective and philosophy to provide knowledge in dermoscopy. Become a member. If you are not yet, become a member now. And also the journal of the IDS, in my opinion, is incredibly dynamic and interesting. You should have a look. Good. Emilio, the stage shall be yours, my friend.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So guys, I selected some nice cases from this year that I want to share with you. And since Elvira and Gabriel, you are here on stage with me, please stay with your cameras on so that we can discuss a little bit, because I think that they are, they are cases that should be discussed. They are not nice if you just present them. So I'm sharing my screen and I go immediately with my favorite case, which is the first one. I love this case, and I'm sure that you are also going to love it. So the case, guys, starts with a phone call. So I receive a phone call from a medical oncologist saying that, look, I want to refer a patient to you who was recently diagnosed with melanoma. He had his excision, and now he developed around the scar of the melanoma, he developed new lesions that he says that they look very much similar to the initial melanoma. So before you see anything at all, what do you expect to see?
Metastasis, satellite
Metastasis.
lesions.
Metastasis of a melanoma that was excised, and then
Yes.
now we have in transit mets. So I say, of course, yes, please send the patient. The patient comes, and he gets undressed to see the area of the scar of the excision, and here you can see a very nice surgical scar. I mean, the way that surgeons size things, you know, very generous, very generous. Okay, so that was the scar of the melanoma. By the way, of course, we asked for the report, the histopathologic report of the excised melanoma. He said that it was excised twice, the first one and then a second. I said, okay, that's reasonable. Show me the reports. That was the first report. As you can see, melanocytic lesion with fibrosis, difficult to classify. Sorry, because I have my, I cannot remove this window, unfortunately. So, sorry. Okay, dermal fibrosis close to the junction, dense infiltrate, pigment incontinence, and the presence of solitary melanocytes cannot allow us to exclude the possibility of a regressed melanoma. That's why we recommend a full excision. And then, because the lesion was not entirely excised at the beginning, then the second excision was performed. The report was remnants of melanocytic elements that, similarly to the previous one, they are suspicious for regressed melanoma. But now it was excised with wide negative margins. It was this large excision that I showed you earlier. So that was the report. And now the patient comes with his new lesions that he says, he swears that they are very, very similar to how the initial melanoma looked like. And now he shows us the lesions that he's speaking about. Are you ready to see them? Take a look. So these are the lesions that he's speaking about. You can see here on the groin, on the one side of the groin, the other side of the groin. Yeah, you see that they are multiple gray to
Violet.
Yeah, violet patches. And dermatoscopically, that's the close-up of some of these lesions. And dermatoscopically, they look like this. There is this gray brownish pigmentation. Look here, again, another one, kind of also a little bit of white lines in the center, but not so much, mainly gray color. And then, since at this moment we come up with an idea that maybe you also came up now, that it could be what?
You want us to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks a bit lichenoid.
Lichenoid. Yeah, it looks like lichen planus. Then we ask him, but do you maybe have anything also in the axilla? He says no. We say, okay, let us check. In fact, he does. Has also in the axilla. So it's looking pretty much like, clinically and dermatoscopically, like a pigmented lichen planus. So what happened with this in this situation was that the patient had a lichen planus that was excised and diagnosed as a possible regressive melanoma. But if you remember the histologic
report,
criteria, that's not completely crazy. It might happen. There is an overlap histopathologically between regressed melanoma and lichen planus. So if the pathologist does not have good clinical information, it's possible that such a mistake could happen. And this is the case here. And imagine, here you can see also with immunohistochemistry that in fact there are some melanocytes, which is the case in pigmented lichen planus. There are also some melanocytes and sometimes also some small melanocytic nests. So that's a big trap that could happen to any of us and to any pathologist if you don't see the big picture. I think that the problem here was that nobody had the big picture. The pathologist had just a specimen. The surgeon had just a report saying melanoma, so he had to excise more. And the oncologist had, again, not the big picture. So can you imagine if the oncologist did not send the patient to us, and if he just proposed a biopsy from one of these new lesions, and then the biopsy went again to the same pathologist, and the pathologist reporting that it's similar to the previous one, so melanoma again, what could follow?
Incredible, incredible. But did I tell you that we have one similar case to yours? One case, this exactly the same, in which the initial report was a lichen planus, and then the patient developed new papules in this case, and the final picture was that of lichen planus. So the initial report was melanoma in situ in this case.
Melanoma in situ.
Melanoma in situ, and then we were like,
I had a similar case with multiple lesions in the scalp in a dark skin phototype, and it was diagnosed initially as melanoma and corresponded to lichen planopilaris. So I think that we should take pictures. We should speak with the pathology. As Emilio said, we should get the full picture to get the correct diagnosis.
Address the patient at least.
Yeah. So the good, of course, in the end, the diagnosis was the correct diagnosis was established. In the end, after all the information, they reviewed the histopathology slides and they concluded that this is lichen planus pigmentosus. But can you imagine this guy that came in the hospital with the possible diagnosis of metastatic melanoma and left the hospital with a diagnosis of lichen planus?
And a scar, and a big scar.
Okay, good. Case number 2. Well, number 2 is not, I will show you just one case in order to share with you something that we did in the last year in 5, 6, 7 patients, I don't remember. And I start to like it very much. Take a look at this. This is, it looks like a classic keratoacanthoma, well-differentiated squamous cell carcinoma, possibly keratoacanthoma type, in a very peculiar location. You know, the back of the hand, which is surgically not so easy location to perform excisions for obvious reasons. So this patient, we decided to treat him not with surgery, but with another treatment. I will show you first the result. So this is the result after the end of the treatment that we applied. Can you guess maybe what we did? Well, no, you cannot.
Methotrexate?
Yes.
Oh.
Intralesional methotrexate. And look what a great result. This was not the only case. That's another example. Again, keratoacanthoma, even more typical keratoacanthoma in this case. Same location. Again, problematic somehow from a surgical point of view. Again, wonderful result with methotrexate. So the dosage we use is 4 consecutive weekly injections of intralesional methotrexate. Then we stop after 4 injections. We wait for a few weeks because the efficacy of the methotrexate is a little bit delayed, so you need to wait a couple of weeks in order to see the final result. And then, if needed, we do a second circle of 4 injections. And with these keratoacanthomas, I have a very good experience, let me tell you. We used it in 6, 7 patients, and practically in all of them, the problem was solved. Do you have any experience with this treatment?
Yes, we did.
Not personally.
There's one question in the chat saying if you give folic acid, I guess yes.
Sorry?
If you give to the patient, you prescribe also folic acid after the injection. Yes.
Yes,
Like
yes. Although it's a short period, you're gonna stop. You're not gonna administer methotrexate for long periods, but why not? Yeah.
Nice.
Wonderful. So that's another thing I wanted to share with you. And now we go with another case, which was very didactic for me. I learned something from this case that I will apply, if not forever, at least for a long period until something significant will change. So, man, 70 years old, with you know, my problem is that I don't see what's written on my screen, so I have to remember by heart. What am I writing there? Recurrent multifocal?
Multifocal.
Metatypical BCC.
First
Okay. Okay, good. I remember correctly. So first diagnosis 4 years ago, operated and recurred, 3 surgeries overall, and after the last surgery, he also did post-surgery radiotherapy. Okay, so it was obviously a problematic tumor, an aggressive tumor that recurred again and again and again, operated, and finally also irradiated. By the way, we do have a photo not taken by us, a previous photograph from the last surgery that he did. That was when they drawed the surgery. This is during the surgery. So you see that we are speaking about a big surgery, okay? That was performed back then. And then still after this surgery, by the way, the cosmetic result was very nice, but the tumor recurred again. Okay, as you can see here clinically, we have multiple foci of recurrence. It's not only the ulcerated area, it's also the nodular areas that you can see in several parts there. And here you can see the close-up. So, in terms of treatment, at this point, we, after three surgeries and after this kind of recurrence, we thought about using vismodegib because otherwise we would have to design again a big surgery because the recurrence was multifocal and not only on the ulcerated area. So we thought about vismodegib. Of course, there was the second thought that since basosquamous, metatypical BCC means basosquamous carcinoma, which means that there is a squamous component, maybe this could make you rethink if you should use vismodegib, because in the past there were some reports of squamous cell carcinomas developing in patients under treatment with vismo for BCC. Of course, eventually, if you follow up the literature, it was shown that there is not a real risk of squamous cell carcinoma under vismodegib. And also, there were some reports of basosquamous carcinomas treated with vismodegib and responding very well. This is an example of a paper that reported a good response of basosquamous to vismodegib. These are 2 cases that we published some years ago of basosquamous carcinomas that responded perfectly to vismodegib. Therefore, we decided to use it, okay? Because we felt that we have the required evidence, and also because that we didn't have a better idea at that moment. So we started using vismodegib, and you see what happens. Several nodular parts have disappeared, but the central ulceration, the ulceration became bigger. Okay, so what do you think that we should do at this point?
Biopsy, maybe.
Yeah, biopsy, or we could theoretically switch to cemiplimab, but also since everything else disappeared and the only problem now was the ulcerated area, we thought that we could just excise the ulcerated area because it was feasible to do. Yeah, all the other parts had disappeared. So we decided to excise the ulcerated area, which was diagnosed as a squamous cell carcinoma. So the tumor in the past was diagnosed as basosquamous, but this time this ulcerated area was diagnosed as a squamous cell carcinoma. So then we, after having excised in healthy margins, we decided to continue vismodegib anyhow because of the large tumor that was the basosquamous that responded to vismodegib. And since the ulcerated area was excised, we decided to continue. And in fact, after 3 months, everything was perfect. After 6 months, everything was perfect. After 9 months, everything was perfect. After 12 months, everything was still perfect. So 1 year without any signs of disease. So at that point, we thought about stopping the treatment, because also the patient was complaining, as all the patients under Vismo complain about the side effects. So we thought about stopping the treatment. Anyhow, we had 12 months of clear, of everything clear. And we decided to stop. By the way, that was also the era of the COVID. So what happened is that after 1.5 months, the patient came back, of course, not under Vismo now anymore. The patient came back with this recurrence that, as you can see, it's not only the ulcerated area, but it in fact involves also almost the cartilage. So it's a big recurrence. It's not just a small part. So you can see from the close-up much better. At this point, what should we do? Restart vismodegib, start cemiplimab, try to operate, radio, or biopsy first? We decided to biopsy first in order to understand if this biopsy was a pure squamous or not. And we did, and the report of the biopsy was again metatypical BCC, not squamous cell, metatypical basal cell carcinoma. So we have a recurrence of the previous tumor practically. So then, by the way, also in the magnetic resonance, we confirmed that it was not only on the skin, but there was also a subcutaneous mass involving the soft tissue of the periocular area. So what do you do now? Do you start vismodegib again? Do you switch to cemiplimab? Do you try to operate or do radiotherapy? I don't know if there is a correct answer. I would tell you. Yeah, I will tell you what we selected to do. So we thought that since initially it responded very well to vismodegib, there is a big chance that it's going to respond again. And this is also based on available evidence. We do have evidence also from our own experience that if you re-challenge with vismodegib, those patients that in the past had responded perfectly, probably they are going to respond perfectly again. Not all of them, but most of them. So we decided to use vismodegib again. But unfortunately, this time, the patient did not respond well. So you can see here that it was worsening under vismodegib. Therefore, we decided to switch to cemiplimab. So be patient. It's a long story with this patient. We have many. We decided to switch to cemiplimab. And then we start, okay? That's the beginning. That's after 10 infusions. You see that there is a response, slow response, but constant response. And then at some point after 15 infusions, we are practically at the point of complete response again, okay? This time with cemiplimab. Then we continue treating. You see here, that was February, that's June, 20th infusion, still complete response. 28th infusion, still complete response. You remember that we first noted the complete response in the 15th infusion, and now we are 1 year later, still in full response, okay? So what should we do? Should we stop or should we continue?
Tough decision. Yeah.
Tough decision. And you can imagine that throughout this year, many times we discussed, should we stop or continue? And we said, okay, let's continue a little bit. Then again, let's continue a little bit. But now we are 1 year free of any kind of recurrence. And then at some point, I was convinced by those saying that, come on, we should stop the treatment. By the way, in immunotherapy, also in melanoma, there is a tendency to stop the treatment after 2 years of complete response, because theoretically the effect of immunotherapy continues afterwards. In the end, we decided to stop the treatment. By the way, we did a last one on March 2024, and then we decided to stop. And now you can imagine what's going to be my next slide. Yes. Unfortunately, my next slide is this, that in August 2024, you see again a significant recurrence of the tumor. And what should we do again? Well, we decided to re-challenge with cemiplimab, but unfortunately for the moment, it's still a bit early, but unfortunately for the moment, look, second infusion, things are not going for the moment well. So I cannot show you the end of the story, because we didn't still abandon cemiplimab, because now is the moment that we should decide. But yeah, so what did I learn? I learned that I will not stop again immunotherapy for non-melanoma skin cancer, even when we have complete response for long terms, until at least we have some evidence, if we ever have some evidence, that if you stop it, then the effect continues, as it appears to be the case for melanoma when it responds completely. But for SCC, we do not have this evidence, and I will not stop again treatment even when we have long-term complete responses. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Did you thought of making a radical surgery after an initial response of immunotherapy, maybe as a neoadjuvant treatment?
Of course, but you know what? In this case, and also in many other cases, that was not a partial response. That was a complete response. So what should we excise?
Yeah.
Everything disappeared. So what should we do? Excise what? Yeah.
Or maybe combine now radiotherapy together with cemiplimab. They say it will enhance the response to cemiplimab, probably.
Yeah, that's something that we already did. Now we already started. That's obviously an idea. But anyhow, in any case, I think that in epithelial cancer, things do not work precisely as they do in melanoma. So I think that stopping the treatment is not a good idea, apparently. Wonderful. So I change completely. I go to more easy things. Case number 4. Okay, this is not the case. That's a very easy thing just to remember what everybody knows, that parallel furrow pattern is suggestive of nevi, and parallel ridge pattern is suggestive of melanoma. Okay. Now, yeah, the furrow on the left, the ridge on the right. The case is this one that was sent. It's not mine. It was sent to me by Harold Rabinovitz. You see here, that's a female, 40 something. I cannot see my screen, so I don't see the age precisely.
46.
46, with a long-standing, gradually enlarging lesion. And my question to you is, if you see here a parallel furrow pattern or a parallel ridge pattern, and please be honest.
Mostly furrow, I would say.
Elvira?
Yeah, mainly furrow.
Yeah, I would say exclusively furrow, not mainly furrow. Furrow. Okay. Yeah. So what does this mean? Does this mean anything? Should this make us believe that the case we see here is a nevus?
Which kind of nevus? Come on.
Which kind of nevus? No way. No way. So maybe we have exaggerated a little bit with the importance of the parallel furrow pattern. Of course, it's the most frequent pattern of nevi, but it's not the only thing we have to take into considerations. The overall symmetry of the lesion, the overall distribution of colors and structures is very, very important. So you look at this lesion clinically, it's obvious that it's ugly already from the clinical. It's asymmetric, the distribution of pigment is completely heterogeneous. So come on, we cannot ignore all this information and stick only on the furrow pattern that we see in the dermatoscopic image. So that's that, by the way, what was included in the BRAF checklist. Wonderful. Acral lesion again, suspicious, yes or not? What do you think, guys?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Now,
Oh,
what do you think it is? It, yeah. Look how ugly it is. I mean, it's the definition of asymmetry. It's it should be a melanoma. But then when we see it on the soul of a, I don't know, 5-6-year-old child, then everything changes. Come on, it's a congenital nevus and we know it. So practically here, I would say I wouldn't do anything at all. Would you do anything? Okay, follow up maybe, but nothing at all. Meaning not even a biopsy.
no, I agree totally.
Conservative.
Yeah. Absolutely. No matter how ugly it is, practically. Wonderful. Okay. Another thing that I learned this year, acral again, male, 43. Look at this funny lesion. Isn't this strange?
Yes.
It's very unusual. It's a kind of a fibrillar pattern, but yeah, kind of a fibrillar. It's not even a typical fibrillar pattern. Very strange. Yeah. But definitely it's not a furrow pattern. It's not a ridge pattern. Maybe fibrillar. Yeah, fibrillar. The point is that a fibrillar pattern is expected to be seen only on parts of the sole that are prone to mechanical pressure. Okay. In contrast, in our case, that was not there. That was located in a location which is not explained by mechanical pressure. Therefore, we decided to excise it, by the way. And what do you think it was? Can you guess what it was?
Spitz.
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 Spitz. Yes.
Yeah, that's so strange. Spitz nearby on the side.
Never, yeah, never again. And then I discussed it with a few friends, but in some occasions, and then I discussed it with Nisa that told me, oh, we also have 2-3 cases and so on. We tried to collect 10, we collected 11 cases of Spitz nevi, and in these 11 cases, we found in many of them a fibrillar pattern and a location, precisely the same location with ours. So maybe a clue could be that when you see an acral lesion with a fibrillar pattern, but located non in a location which is prone to mechanical pressure, then think about the possibility of a Spitz, of an acral Spitz nevus, although it's of course not very frequent. Yeah, you like it?
Very much.
Very nice.
Very much. Wonderful. Okay, and then I have 3 more cases of acral lesions, again with stories. Look, female, 45, plantar wart. Yeah, 8 sessions of cryotherapy performed. The wart was still recurring, and 2 sessions of laser performed. The wart was still recurring. Do you want to see do you agree that it looks like a wart?
Technically, maybe.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Close up. Fine. Dermoscopy. Fine.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Wart. Okay, so what should we do? Should we go for the cryotherapy number 9? Should we go for the laser number 3? Should we go for another photodynamic therapy, or maybe should we biopsy just to make sure that nothing strange is going on?
Yeah, let's take a biopsy. There, because squamous cell have been described.
Yeah. Yes, so that's what we decided to do in the 11th visit. We could have done it also in the 5th, yes. But we were so sure that it is a word that we continued. At some point, we said, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So we did it. And what do you think was the result of the biopsy?
Word.
Plantar wort. Plantar wort.
Oh, okay.
Word.
No, no.
Word. Yeah.
Good for the patient.
Okay. So, but what I want to say is that, do you think that it was a mistake to biopsy?
Definitely not.
No. No. Yeah. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Elvira. Thank you. Yeah.
The risk of, definitely the risk of missing sudden diagnosis as common cell carcinoma should be the main goal is not to miss skin malignancy. So if you not feel comfortable, I think that biopsy is perfectly understand.
Yeah. But look, it's very similar with this, with another one. Look again, female, recent onset. What does it look like?
Pyogenic granuloma.
Pyogenic granuloma. Okay. Dermatoscopically, very probably pyogenic granuloma. Okay. What should we do? Should we cryo? Should we do another non-surgical treatment, or again, biopsy, shave, something like this? Yeah. Biopsy. We did a biopsy. Which was the result of the biopsy? Pyogenic granuloma. But was it a mistake to do it?
Definitely not.
No. And the proof that it was not a mistake is the next and last case that I will show for today, which, look at it, it's so much similar to the previous. So much similar. Again, the first idea coming to your mind is a pyogenic granuloma. Of course, dermatoscopically, there is a predominance of blood. So, and nothing else, probably, basically. A little bit of keratin at the periphery. So again, pyogenic granuloma is obviously the most probable diagnosis. But if you don't biopsy this one, then you will never find this 3.6 millimeter thick ulcerated melanoma. So that's why I think that it was not a mistake to biopsy also the previous one. Yeah, exactly, because there is this very strange phase of acral amelanotic melanoma, which is not lentiginous like the classic one. It's not pigmented like the classic one. It's not slow growing like the classic one. And it's really a big risk. And that's why we have to be very careful, especially with non-pigmented strange acral lesions. And that was it, my friends, from my side.
Very good, very good.
Thank you very much for
Very
having me.
Thank you, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Aimilios.
Emilio, these acral cases are just for us here as audience looking at these feeds and then guessing, is it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? This is like the angle of the photography, Emilio, makes it even more difficult.
But that's a good game that we have to play once. We have to show fingers, just fingers, and the game will be guess the age.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Thank you very much, my friend. Very good. We have got here a question in the audience. Do you want to answer this already?
Sure. Let's see. Because I could not open the chat before. I'm using a combination of Acticeral with cryo, and the results are amazing for viral warts. Of course, yes, I fully agree. I also do. But there are, I'm sure that you have all experienced some plantar warts, especially plantar warts, that whatever you do, they are very resistant and recurring all the time. Especially these are the warts that you treat more intensively, of course. The second and the third time that they come back, you do the maximum you can, but they still recur.
Yeah, good. So,
can you please repeat the course of treatment for keratoconthoma with methotrexate? Yeah, it's 1 injection per week for 4 consecutive weeks. Already replied by Elvira. I don't see anything else. Or should I look at the
Give folic acid the day after injection of MTX.
Sorry? Yeah, if we give folic acid, yes, we do. Yeah.
Great.
How about spontaneous regression of keratoacanthoma? I don't know. I don't know. Theoretically, it's possible. Theoretically, it happens. But in my personal experience, it's not so frequent. Of course, to be honest, usually we do not allow keratoacanthoma to spontaneously regress because usually we do something about it, even a simple shave. But it didn't happen to see many times keratoacanthomas with a spontaneous regression. Did you guys?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
did?
I did, because probably we scheduled the appointment for surgery 1 month later, 2 months later, and then at the day of the surgery there was nothing more. So it was a keratoacanthoma for sure. But I don't know how often, but once per.
It was treated with chronotherapy.
Waiting for spontaneous regression. Yeah.
But how many times did you see it? Like 10 or just 1 or 2?
No, like 10. I mean, but in many years. Yes.
Excellent. So people, maybe, Aimilios, you told us that you have got to move to your next appointment at 4. So before we move toward a kind of a beautiful video that we prepared for you, I would like to thank you, Aimilios, for the entire year of activities, of energy and time that you invested in the IDS, in the courses of IDS, events of the IDS, the way you inspired not only all the dermoscopists worldwide and dermatologists, but us in the industry. I would say, I would like to speak in the name of the industry. What you did to bring us to all Argentina for an incredible event together with Gabriel, Horacio, and the organization there. And the fact that the IDS is for us a huge motivation in what we do daily at this company, developing solutions.
We love dermoscopy too, let's say.
Thank you, Aimilios. Thank you to you and the entire IDS board for everything that you did this year.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. We also thank you for being always there for us, for walking together with us in this big journey.
Indeed.
Long journey.
Let's watch the little video before you leave. Maybe it's just a minute.
Before you leave, yeah, I've got some minutes. The video is just a couple of minutes. Let's watch.
1 or 2 minutes.
3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
I love those pictures.
Very nice. It was a good year.
It was an incredible year.
Yeah.
Incredible
But we forgot to mention that, of course, the big highlight of the year was the World Congress, and this nothing can compete with it. But the second highlight of the year was the merge of FotoFinder with DermLight.
Yes, the black and red, the black and red. No, guys, definitely. I think we are just at the beginning of a journey. The two companies are so, I would say, complementary. We learn so much from each other. Two different mindsets, two different tools. And the journey of dermoscopy starts with DermLight and DermLight's philosophy to make it available, affordable for everybody. And we have just guests from South Africa here, and especially in new territories and regions like Asia, like Africa. It's very important that the tool is affordable and available. We're working on that. And I think together with the knowledge base that is created by IDS, we can go step by step, empowering dermatologists and general practitioners in different countries to better diagnose skin diseases, together with the IDS.
Wonderful.
Very nice message, Moha.
That was my momentum.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Senora, Senori, the president of the IDS, Emilio, we wish you a wonderful Christmas time.
Yes.
And thank you for being with us.
Love you all, guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Enjoy Athens and good luck for your next presentation.
Definitely, definitely. Senora, Senori, let's go from beautiful Athens. Where should we go?
To Napoli.
Napoli.
Bella Napoli.
Let me do this. Let me do this. Elvira, let me do this. Let me do this introduction to Napoli. Elvira is at a hospital. It's called a Policlinico, okay? The edificio numero 9, okay? The building number 9 in Naples. It's like a town, okay? You can drive in with taxi. You can get lost in it, okay? Which happened to me the first time 10 years back when I went there. But this building is full of emotions, full of discoveries, full of memories. Elvira, what have you done all these years in this building? And the place where I think Geppi Argenziano came back to Naples. When was it? 2015? When did he come back?
More or less, yes, 2015. Yes,
I remember because when I met him, he was just about to, or he just moved from Reggio Emilia back to Naples, right?
Yeah, it was a long journey. It was a big moment. Well, actually, Geppi came first, and then I followed him, as always. So I was in Reggio Emilia, and then 2016, I came back to Naples again. So yeah,
I have to say, well, everything happening in Naples has a positive, impact on what we do. It's a positive vibe. No, really. I learned so much. I learned so much about what we do when I stay always with you guys, working with patients, with Marcello, with Gabriella, with the entire team, with Camilla. You guys are wonderful. And we have the confocal, which is Elvira's room just next door to FotoFinder room. And actually, it's heaven for every dermoscopist. It's heaven for every dermoscopist at the level of equipment. Elvira, we look forward to your presentation.
Yeah, share my screen. So I'd like to share with you some cases from, okay, I see my screen perfectly. Okay, so best cases of the year. Yes, let's start from the unexpected ones. Let's give a look at this gentleman. He's around 40 years old. He comes because of this small spot on his face. We can trust him probably when he says this is quite new because it's in front of him every day. So this is new, it's growing, it's black. I would like it to be removed. I don't like it. So of course we do dermoscopy. What do you think about this image?
I don't like it either.
You don't like it? Yeah, because it's so tiny, so little one, but so black. Then you put a dermatoscope and you expect to see maybe Seb-K, maybe solar lentigo, even an ink spot lentigo, but there's nothing. If you apply the so-called inverse approach, so look for comido-like openings, look for mid-alexis, look for a multi-ton borders, nothing, but just this black blotch covering the so obliterating the follicle. So it's small, but come on, too small to be through. But we have confocal the next door, so we also did confocal, and it confirmed this was the smallest melanoma of the year. I know that we are not the ones that had the smallest melanomas, because you can see Too Small to Be True was published by Catelongo and her group, so this is probably small, but even our was really very, very small. So dimension, the dimension is not so important when you put your dermatoscope and you don't see nothing about nothing concerning benign lesions, and you see this black blotch, this obliteration of the follicles. This was very, very small, very, very tiny lentigo maligna, also in a young patient. So we are seeing much more lentigo maligna in young patients. So at a certain point, they have to start. So when we see all this one, so the elderly one with large macules, it was starting in their young age, most probably. So this is a slow growing melanoma. So the smallest one, then another one, unexpected too. So let's give a look at this lady. She's 65 years old. Again, she's quite convinced that the lesion, this bluish one, this bluish nodule, was there since many years. Can we trust her? Maybe yes, maybe not. The point is that the lesion, of course, is palpable because it's a papule, but also if you touch it, it's more than what you see. So it's something which is very firm on palpation, like an infiltrating nodule here on the cheek. So what to do? Dermoscopy, bluish color, but then also some grayish nuance, white lines here in the center of the lesion. This was totally unexpected. So this was what our pathologists called a blue nevus-like melanoma. So uncommon, so uncommon. You know, now we have this new classification of the WHO that we follow, in which we have a completely different classification of melanoma. So we learned about superficial spreading, nodular melanoma, acrolentiginous melanoma, and so on. Nowadays, we classify melanomas into basically nine main pathways. The first division is between melanomas associated with high cumulative sun damage and no cumulative sun damage. So superficial spreading is with a melanoma in a low cumulative sun damage area, lentigo maligna desmoplastic melanoma in high cumulative sun damage. And then you have the other pathways. So spitz, acral, mucosal, melanoma arising in congenital nevi, melanoma arising in blue nevi. So uncommon pathway, but it can happen. And the nodular melanoma, which may occur in any of the pathways. So if you look here, there's always one precursor lesion. So the basic concept of the new classification, you can trust it or not, you can believe it or not, you can agree with it or not. They say that basically every melanoma starts from a nevus. It's not really our experience. But in the case of bluish, of the bluish realm, we have some simplified pathways, I would say, compared to the past. So the blue area, the blue spectrum of the lesion, it's something which was always very controversial among pathologists, because it's true that melanoma in blue nevus, or also called blue nevus-like melanoma, I will show you one example, like the one that was our case before, so blue nevus-like melanoma, so a melanoma in which the cells resemble like the cells of a blue nevus. This is quite uncommon, so we have only, I have to tell you, we have only 2 cases in our database, which starts from 15 years ago, but then we have a lot of lesions in the intermediate category of the blue lesions. We have the deep penetrating nevus, which is, by the way, benign, but can be a melanoma stimulator. We have the pigmented epithelioid melanocytoma, which is an intermediate lesion. For us, dermatologists, dermoscopists, the problem is to interpret the blue hue that we see. So this is the other case that we have of melanoma, in this case, on a blue nevus. Here, I agree and I understand that, so for me, it's easier than the previous case. So because here, even if this was an in situ melanoma on a blue nevus, this shows much more. So show these blue, white streaks, white areas, so something more. And in the histopathologically was constituted by spindle cells, by melanocyte reminiscent of blue nevus, and also at the periphery, this in situ intraepidermal melanoma. The problem for us is when to biopsy. So when do we have to biopsy a lesion displaying a bluish coloration? Let's give a look at another case, and then we go to the conclusion of this blue category and to understand how to interpret the lesion. So this is a 36 years old man and we have this, again, bluish, but also I would say blue-gray colored lesion of recent onset. How do we know that this is recent? Because the patient had a previous melanoma. We were performing total body photography and follow-up of this patient because of the previous melanoma, and you can notice that the lesion was not there before, so it was very new from one visit to the other, suddenly appearing with this bluish coloration. So we excised it because it was strange, by the way, and the diagnosis was pigmented epithelioid melanocytoma. So this diagnosis in the middle. Histopathologically, wedge-shaped, deeply pigmented melanocytic proliferation in the dermis, so quite thick in the dermis. But just to sum up, so in general, what we can have when we excise a lesion, in general, blue nevi in dermoscopy, they appear like with a blue coloration, can be blue and brown, but the blue hue, structureless blue, it's usually for us a blue nevus. It's stable, it's there since many years. In histology, it can be dendritic, so the common blue nevus, cellular epithelioid, these are all benign. The deep penetrating nevus, usually it's larger, it's bigger, also dermoscopically, it's also a lesion that tends to grow. And for the histologist, this can be problematic because it can mimic melanoma, but still it's benign. Then we have the melanoma and the blue nevus, which is extremely rare, but it's the malignant counterpart of these bluish lesions. And then in the middle, this pigmented epithelioid melanocytoma, so a lesion with uncertain malignant potential, which is in between. So is this a morphologically gray zone within the spectrum of blue lesion? Is this a biological gray zone? We do believe that this is just a morphological gray zone. So lesions which are not enough atypical to be called melanoma, but then they are biologically not so aggressive like a melanoma. By the way, the melanocytomas are a big problem for us. Clinicians, the pathologists tried to make a little bit of order, much order. So it's a category of neoplasm now emerging that have more pathogenetic mutation than found in benign nevi, fewer mutations than found in melanomas. And they usually tend to have a lymphotropic attitude, so meaning that they are usually intermediate in between nevi and melanomas, and display atypical histopathological features and potential for local recurrence, and also a tendency to regional presentation, so metastases in the lymph nodes, for example. From a dermoscopic point of view, we collected a series of cases of this intermediate category, and the good news is that they are different from a common blue nevus, different from what we see and what we expect from a blue nevus. It's not just a blue structureless, it's usually a blue combined with either black or brown and white, but with white streaks. And also the lymphotropic attitude, we can see and we can appreciate it also sometimes in dermoscopy too. Look at these two cases, the F and the G. Look at here, the bluish nodule, this is on the ear, and look at the vessels surrounding, probably lymphatic vessels with this bluish coloration inside. Already with dermoscopy, we could appreciate it. Or look at this big nodule. This was a little girl, 10 years old, 9 years old girl with this big nodule, which is blue and black or worrisome clinically and dermoscopically. And look at the bluish coloration, these bluish macules surrounding the big tumor. These were satellite lesion of this tumor, which was called pigmented epithelioid melanocytoma. So for us, for the blue lesions, excised lesions exhibiting blue and black together, blue with white streaks, or growing or newly appearing lesions, so collect accurate history, of course, when possible. Sometimes It's impossible to have a reliable history for this lesion, and always evaluate by expert pathologists, because the classification of the blue nevus-like of the spectrum of blue nevus-like lesions is changing. It's evolving also with molecular biology, and we did recently this review about the clinical, dermoscopic, also confocal features and histopathological classifications of these blue nevus-like lesions. So if you like to review what we know about blue. So one surprising case, but not too much. It's something that we heard also a few minutes ago. This is an 8-year-old boy coming, the patient, the parents sought consultation because of this nodule bleeding on his leg. You can notice clinically the so-called Band-Aid sign, so it was bleeding. So what do you think, Gabriel, which is our differential diagnosis here again?
Biogenic granuloma.
Biogenic granuloma again, of course. But this is a golden rule to biopsy, to take histology of every biogenic lesion species for biogenic granuloma, clinically resembling biogenic granuloma, because we know, especially at this age, melanoma, it's rare. It usually does not show melanoma, the classic melanoma features, but more mainly a nodule. In this case, this was just Spitz nevus, can you imagine, or spitzoid lesion in the end. But we excised it, and we did a histopathologic examination. I just, for curiosity, searched our database recently, and we had 410 lesions with a clinical suspicion of biogenic granuloma, which were excised over the last 15 years, so quite a number. The great majority was confirmed benign, so either pyogenic granuloma confirmed by histology or angioma, angiokeratoma, so benign lesions in general. But look at here, 8 Spitz nevi and atypical Spitz tumors, especially in children. The age range, it's 3 to 23 years. All the children that we have with pyogenic granuloma clinically, many of the children then had an atypical Spitz tumor, which clinically was resembling a pyogenic granuloma. And also we had 6 melanoma. The only melanoma that we have in our database in a 7-year-old girl was initially diagnosed as pyogenic granuloma, so you can imagine. 3.4% of the lesions in our database, which were clinically sent to histopathology and clinically with the clinical suspicion of pyogenic granuloma, then turned out to be melanocytic tumors in general. Not too much, but enough to say that this golden rule is still golden rule. So to excise and to send to histopathology whatever looks like clinically a pyogenic granuloma, because sometimes it's really tough, really impossible to say which one is the melanoma and which one is the pyogenic granuloma. Really impossible sometimes. Okay, so something very new, and this is my last case. So what do you think about this lesion? She's a 48-year-old lady with this pigmented lesion on the thumb. So this is a brownish pigmentation in dermoscopy also. What would you recommend to this patient, Gabriel?
This is a longitudinal melanonychia with recent onset in an adult patient. There's quite irregular in the pigmentation, or definitely a nail matrix biopsy, or at least a short-term follow-up in order to see how it behaves. But I think that I will be quite comfortable doing a biopsy in this lesion.
Okay. You're a very experienced dermatologist and dermoscopist. We suggested a short-term follow-up. So we asked the patient to come back in, well, even if short for nails, it's not the same as nevi. So maybe we asked her to come back in 6 months, but then she came back 5 years later. Come on. 5 years later, the situation is totally changed. So the band, it's increased in pigmentation. We have some grayish granules within the band. The band is now clearly large, very, very large. It was from the beginning, probably, if you looked carefully, it was not just this brownish pigmentation here, but probably the pigmentation was extending also a little bit more in the nail, but now it's much more evident. And this was still after 5 years and in situ melanoma by the end, so good for the patient in the end. But we collected, we asked to ourselves, is dermoscopic follow-up a valuable management strategy for longitudinal melanonychia? So we collected a series of cases of follow-up of longitudinal melanonychia, and we realized, we analyzed the cases. We had a multicentric study of about 65 cases, of which only 6 melanomas which were in situ. The interesting thing is that in the beginning, the nevus cases were indistinguishable from the melanoma cases. So they had the same features in dermoscopy, so just brownish pigmentation, a little part of the nail, so not clearly distinguishable. After follow-up, there were some changes, of which increased intensity of pigmentation during follow-up, appearance of new colors, or the appearance of granular pigmentation were the ones which were in favor of the diagnosis of melanoma. So in case you are following a pigmented nail band, so a longitudinal melanonychia. So if you see these things during follow-up, increased intensity of pigmentation, appearance of new colors, or appearance of granular pigmentation, then take a biopsy, because this could be a melanoma. So thank you so much for your attention.
Elvira, wonderful, wonderful presentation. Thanks for
You.
the great cases. And again, I have to say, one of the most impressive things that I realize happening in workshops where images of Naples are presented, no matter if they're presented by you, by Camila, Gabriella, or Jeppy, the quality of those clinical videos, your device is one of the best calibrated machines in the world. And watching the cases.
We're struggling every day to get good pictures. It's not always the case, but okay.
Yeah, but again, the fact that that camera, we really, we have to say, the first ATBM master, the first big photo, generation, the first device that was of a new generation ATBM was installed in Naples, because we also developed it there, experimenting with different cameras, different optics, different flash units. And to be honest, your fingerprints of the Naples team is on every single ATBM that goes around the world, because it has such an impact what happened during that time. So thank you very much for the selection of the cases. And I would say the audience, in terms of questions, please write down your questions, because we would definitely again address them. And we decided for the break in between the two sessions to ask you to participate in a couple of questionnaires and polls that we prepared, because it helps us indeed to, your feedback helps us to form and adopt and adjust the academy program for next year.
Exactly, because for next year, for sure, we will continue our FotoFinder and Friends online academy, and we would like to know from you if it's the right day and time and what topics are interesting for you. And we prepared a little poll. The first one is about which day would you prefer, because we always do it on Friday, maybe you would prefer another day. This is the chance to tell us. I think you can even mention several.
So if you have two favorites, you can even select two. I think it's good for us to know in general which date is, or which day is actually interesting for you. Is it about just the day, or is it also the time?
The time will follow in the next question.
All right, everybody.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. What's your favorite?
Oh, one of them is very good choice. I don't see it. It's Friday.
And you can choose two, right?
Very good. So let us maybe go with the next question, please.
Still going.
Is it still going on? Okay, let's give it some more time. But again, I think, Catherine, we agree that depending on time, depending on the time zone and region, of course, people have different preferences.
Exactly, exactly.
We have to take probably just the majority. and see.
And the next one is about which time would you like? Because we are now Central European time, always 3:00 p.m. Does this suit you, or would you prefer?
What time slots do we have as an option here? We have also in the afternoon and evening, right?
Later or earlier. Yeah, there's several.
Okay. I see the last two options seem to be the most favorite.
So Go to Bed Academy.
Go to Bed Academy. So, you know what I'm surprised about, to be honest? On Sunday evening, when Emilio, Jeppy, Konstantinos, and Nisa do the happy hour, they start at 19 p.m. European Central Time, which is actually 20 for Greece, Emilios. So it's really happy hour evening time. And they, it's surprising to me how many people are coming in. So we have got also here, it's quite even. It's probably the
later the better.
Yeah. Later the better. Okay, very good. Very good.
And now please give us an idea about the topics you would like us to have in the academy.
Okay, that's the topics. Guys, here again, you have got multiple options. Please select your most favorite topics. And this gives us definitely an idea how we can further emphasize interesting topics. You see, there are many options here. But please take your time, go through the options that are there, and select your favorites. That gives us a good idea on how to design. I mean, we have got, thank God, plenty of great speakers and experts in different fields. I was, when I was with Elvira and Jeppy and Emilio at the workshop of Argentina, I talked to Enzo Enrichetti. Enzo is really doing a great job at the level of dermoscopy of darker type of skin. We want to emphasize that next year. I think we have a date even for that.
This is the first academy in January. It will be about the dermoscopy of skin of color.
Good, great.
And
great.
yeah, and the second will be in February. It will be the Mold Bowl, so you can win
quiz and awards.
Yes.
The gaming. We have got a couple of dermoscopists out there. They love gaming.
Yes.
They always. We have to somehow find a solution how to avoid they winning again and
the
again.
Same people. Greetings to Poland.
We send them a letter in advance. I told Kasia already she cannot participate. So people, thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating in
we have
those polls.
Yeah, these polls, and we have currently our big customer survey, and you could also participate. And among all participants, yeah, you can win DL200.
Oh, you know that the
DL200, right?
The DL200 is the all-time, the most, I mean, this is the definition of a pocket dermoscope, guys. All legend within the Dermlight portfolio. It's a legend.
Yeah. So you scan the QR code to participate. You can fill it out after the academy just to have the link. And then maybe you win this beautiful.
Scan the QR code. And you have to see when you watch Emilio in his daily practice how fast he is with this. He takes it in his hand, touching the patient's skin, and then playing with. He usually works on contact, and with his finger he's basically playing with the distance. Really, I mean, DL200 is just legendary.
Exactly, because Dermlight has great devices. The latest one, the DL5, it's wonderful for UV and all the possibilities. But this one, you can really have it in your pocket, and the most wearable dermoscope.
Yeah, definitely. The definition, this embodies a pocket dermoscope. You cannot make it better. It's light and handy. People, let us go from Bella Napoli to Rosario, the place where we had this incredible miracle when God decided to place another magician in the world of men. Lionel Messi. Gabi, how is Rosario? Tell us a bit about Rosario. How is Rosario as a city?
Rosario, we are a few days ahead from summer, so we don't have a white Christmas in Argentina, but we have we have European costumes for dinner with hypercaloric dinners. So it's quite crazy for us because we had to turn on the air conditioner in order to eat all these things that our grandparents told us we should eat in Christmas. So for us, it's in the middle of the summer with, I don't know, 30 degrees the temperature. So it's quite crazy for us. But we are we really enjoy this part of the year in Argentina.
Is it asado on Christmas Eve, or is it different meals?
There are different opinions, but maybe you should have an asado or pork, maybe. But we have all these ancient recipes for our grandparents coming from Europe. So we make maybe the same dinner that you had in Europe.
Great, great. Thank you, Gabriel, again for preparing and being part of this event today. You
Actually, we were so enthusiastic about your cases you presented in Buenos Aires that we said, oh, we must bring them online also for those who have not been there. And some of them maybe you share today and different ones for sure. And
mostly different. So, well, thanks again for letting me be part of this FotoFinder Academy. I prepared some teaching cases regarding digital dermoscopy, teaching cases in different scenarios. I want to share with you some. I think that they will provide us useful information. Scenario number 1 is the slow-growing melanoma, and I will share with you this case. They are all recent cases. It's a female, 60 years old, with history of multiple basal cell carcinoma. We start doing skin examinations since January 2017. We saw this image in the back. This lesion was quite different to the other lesions of the patient, but you see here that this seems to be melanocytic lesions, quite irregular, maybe in the, I don't know if I can show you. Let me see. Maybe quite irregular, the pigment network, but there are no clear-cut criteria for malignancy or atypical melanocytic lesion or signs of growth. So we decided to take pictures and we did digital follow-up with these lesions. And this is the history of these lesions. In the first time we recorded in January 2017, January 2019, 2020, 21, September 22, September 23, and now in October 2024. The lesions shows a tendency to increase in size, quite stable, with no ring of globule at the periphery, no atypical pigment network with abrupt borders at the periphery. But we started to see here some globules or some, I don't know, broadness of the pigment network. And this here in October last month, when we saw this area, was turning quite different to the previous registry. And definitely, if we compare the last month pictures with the first pictures we took, it was different, of course. It was quite stable since 2019, but there is a change, very subtle change. There's a close-up of this area that was making us focus on this area. This the occurrence of some, I don't know, some irregular globules. Here you can see, but it's very subtle changes over time. But if we see the whole pictures, there is a significant change. So according to this, we decided to excise the lesions, and it was informed as an in situ melanoma, which was excised after 93 months of follow-up. So in this case, we know that this is what we Gabriel call the Napolitan melanoma, the slow-growing melanoma. This is a very interesting paper from JP's group, where they describe the features, the global pattern of this more than 100 slow-growing melanoma, which is the reticular pattern, the most frequent pattern observed, and some local features. The regression features are the most reported clue or features for diagnosis of melanoma. In our case, maybe a quite atypical pigment network or these irregular dots or globules were the clue. And they also reported that in order to face major changes in this slow-growing melanoma, you have to extend the term of follow-up. This is the papers of my PhD thesis I did with Susana Puig and Josep Malvei in Barcelona. And these two papers reporting the experience of following up a cohort of more than 600 patients. And in these papers, we report that the follow-up as long as 77 months until excisions, being almost half of the melanomas follow-up for more than 2 years until showing some significant change in initially features lesions. Again, slow-growing melanomas. 75% of the melanoma with more than 2 years of follow-up before excisions were in situ, and almost 65% of melanoma that require more than 2 years of follow-up showed no pre-existing nevus upon histopathological examinations. So they were melanoma from the beginning. So be aware of these slow-growing lesions. When we have a long history of monitoring a single lesion, we should evaluate the whole history in order to not miss slow-growing melanoma. Scenario number 2 is dermoscopic change as the main clue. Here you have this 37-year-old female from the first visit was in September 2018. You see here there is a typical Moore syndrome, different aspect from the clinical point of view, but also from the dermoscopical point of view. There were no lesions with an ugly ducting or signs of malignancy in any of the lesions. So we scheduled 6 months follow-up. And this lesion that I will show you in detail made this change from September 2018 to April 2019. There is a significant change. There was quite a specific lesion in the baseline, and it's still a specific lesion in the follow-up, but there is a change, and that is the clue in order to manage these kind of lesions. We decided the excision of this lesion. You can see that from the clinical point of view, it's not a striking lesion. It's quite banal among all the other lesions of this patient. There's the change, the excision, and it corresponded to a 1.3 regressive malignant melanoma. We must be aware of this. There are some the features of the melanoma we diagnosed in this series in Barcelona. We apply the ABCD rule of dermoscopy. Maybe we are not these algorithms are not so used currently, but it was quite useful for us because they give us a score, and this score was allow us to classify this lesion. We must be aware that less than 50% of the melanomas detected during digital follow-up fulfill criteria for malignancy, even with dermoscopy. And so the main clue is that melanomas detected during digital follow-up doesn't look like melanoma clinically, but also dermoscopically. Scenario number 3 is the long-term stable lesion with a recent change. And this is the same patient with a different lesion. This is the lesion we selected for digital follow-up initially. This is the aspect in the baseline. This is the lesion in this kind of collage we initially took. And this is the history of this lesion. You know how far we follow up this lesion. It was stable after 67 months of follow-up. There was no significant change. But there is, in May 2024, the lesions show a significant change. Have you see here that the lesion is quite stable over the time, 67 months stable, significant change in this follow-up. We decided the excision is corresponded to a melanoma inside. Sorry. I'm here again. I don't know if we're lost connection.
Yeah, for a few minutes.
Okay.
Elvira, guys, can you hear us? Abby?
Yes, Moha.
Okay, perfect.
Now it's running, it's working.
Something was, I don't know. It
Sorry
was,
for the technical problem.
so,
Okay,
Gabriel,
I was saying that this scenario was a, I don't know, sorry. This scenario was a long stable lesion with a recent change. This lesion remained stable after 67 months of follow-up and showed a significant change in the last follow-up. So we decided excision and corresponded to melanoma inside. We should be aware that the longer we extend the follow-up term, the higher the chances to detect a melanoma. We did this analysis in the meta-analysis we published 11 years ago from now, that we demonstrated that the longer the follow-up extends, the higher chances to detect a melanoma. Scenario number 4 is the short-term follow-up. This is a 38-year-old male. The first visit was November 2023, atypical mole syndrome. We can see a high number of melanocytic lesions, not big nevus, but quite hyperpigmented. This is the back of the patient. Here, there are some different patterns of nevus in this patient. And this is the lateral view of the third. In this case, we have this kind of collage of the lesions of the patient. You can see that they are quite similar, mostly reticular. And this lesion was calling our attention. This lesion corresponded to this lesion here in the forearm of the patient. This is a close-up, and this is a dermoscopy image. So what was the first time we saw the patient? He's a colic, so we scheduled a short-term follow-up, especially in this lesion. And this is November 2023 and February 2024. Of course, the change is evident. The lesion is growing, is asymmetrically growing. And when you schedule a lesion for short-term follow-up, any change is significant. And we decided to remove this lesion. And it's corresponding to a melanoma in situ. We know that there are two follow-up strategies, the short-term and the medium and long-term follow-up. The short-term is scheduled in 3 months and is used to make the clinical judgment about a single suspicious melanocytic lesions, of course, with no criteria for melanoma, and any morphologic change during the follow-up requires the excision of the lesion. We use medium and long-term follow-up in 6 and 12 months, and is used for comparison of multiple inconspicuous lesions over standard surveillance periods. And this is, of course, useful in patients with multiple melanocytic lesions, high risk for melanoma. There is a very interesting paper published in DPC journal from the International Dermoscopy Society reviewing the indications for follow-up. And scenario number 5 is new lesions detected by body mapping. This is the case of a female 36-year-old with atypical mole syndrome. We start making follow-up examinations since 2014, and this is December 2023. The patient came to a visit and said, I think I have this new lesion in the chest. This is the dermoscopic aspect of the lesion. You see here is 36-year-old. We have irregular globules distributed irregularly at the periphery. We have a very atypical pigment network, some blotch here. So we decided excision, and it's corresponded to a 0.5 melanoma that was detected in December last year. So this is last month, October 2024. This is the body mapping of these patients. We saw this small lesion here with this dermoscopic aspect. Prominent pigment network, some globules. I can see them here. I will show you. Some globules irregularly distributed. Some, I know maybe they are dots, but the pigment network is quite atypical with abrupt borders. Some pseudopods over here in the other area. So we decided to go back to the body mapping and see which was the history of this lesion. And since the high definition body mapping from October 2020, you can see that the lesion wasn't previously there. It was detected at the new lesion from the last year body mapping comparison. And this is the lesion. Of course, this is a new lesion in a 36-year-old female with a previous history of melanoma, and this dermoscopic aspect with, again, a prominent pigment network, some pseudopods here, globules, and dots irregularly distributed, and it's corresponded to a melanoma in situ. The second melanoma is this patient. We know that only 1/3 of melanomas arise in association with pre-existing nevus. In other words, 2/3 of the melanoma arise de novo. And on the other hand, melanoma may be clinically, but also dermoscopically indistinguishable from benign lesions. In order to detect new lesions, we use total body photography. And in order to detect these clueless melanomas, we use digital dermoscopy in order to detect the instability behavior of this lesion. We use as a protocol the two-step method of digital follow-up. It was proposed in 2002 by Susana Puig and Josep Madrid. The combination of total body photography and digital dermoscopy in the follow-up of these high-risk patients. And they proposed at that time that digital follow-up with both total body photography and digital dermoscopy could be more accurate than the two methods considered separately. And in their experience, in the experience in Barcelona, 40% of the melanomas were detected as new lesions because they were truly new or because they were not previously selected for follow-up because they looked quite banal. And 60% of the melanomas were detected in lesions that were monitored with digital dermoscopy. So the combinations of body mapping and digital dermoscopy will have the best results. And of course, Moja already told this was the World Congress in Buenos Aires in last October. And we have two new events upcoming. Of course, the World Congress of Dermoscopy in 2027 in Lyon. Luc Thomas will be the president. And for our Latin American colleagues, we have the 6th Latin American Congress on Dermoscopy that will be in Cartagena, Colombia in 2026. Natalia Jaimes will be the president of the Congress.
Very much, Gabriel. Lots of nice cases and beautiful pictures, by the way.
Avi, you are probably one of the people who has the biggest, let's say, sensitivity when it comes to comparing pictures. The angle of the dermoscopy must be perfect. The before-after of the clinical pictures must be perfect. So how much, really, tell us the truth. How much time does it take per patient when you do body mapping and dermoscopy?
No, we body mappings with the ATBM, it would take, I know, 4 minutes, less than 5 minutes, and maybe 20 minutes in total. For us, it's very easy. We have of course, the implementation of the ATBM made our task very, very easy because we used to have the handheld Medicam to take the clinical pictures. And now for us, it's very easy. The body map can be made by us or a technician, but we are there with our handheld dermatoscope. Our workflow is based always in the use of the handheld dermatoscope. And we use total body mapping to prove crucial information in order to detect lesions. And of course, the sequential digital dermoscopy in order to see how the lesion was behaving.
Yes, no, that's very fast. I was last month for half a day with Jeffy's team in Naples, and there also I experienced that the average time is between 15 to 20 minutes. Very fast. It's very fast, especially because when I went to Naples, there was the Molmax device actually there when we replaced it, and the time they took was very long because they did a lot of dermoscopic pictures and comparing them. And now, of course, with the ATBM, you do much less dermoscopic pictures, and you have the clinical pictures to compare. Due to the image quality, you automatically need less time. But I was really impressed by the fact that the team in Naples really reduced the number of dermoscopy in some cases to 6, 7, 8 in patients where I know that in other clinics they do 50, 60 dermoscopic images. So it's really very it depends very much on the type of also follow-up intervals you define, and you must rely that the patients also really come back, because as Elvira showed, if a patient doesn't come back and then within 3-4 years a lot can happen.
Sure.
That's one of the main, the key issues in digital follow-up. You have to be, so the patient has to be really compliant. So he has to understand what you are doing, that it's for him. So he has to come back. This is a crucial point. But let me tell you, the great majority, they will come back for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it depends.
Because of patient compliance, maybe I'm not too used to do short-term follow-up. Because if I see a lesion is quite suspicious, in order to see again in 3 months, maybe is suspicious enough to remove this lesion.
Yeah.
I showed these cases because it's one of the surgeons that work with us, and I said I need you here, so we will schedule the short-term follow-up. Of course, he was there, and we detected the inside of melanoma.
Okay, okay. No, but again, what I want to say is for us as FotoFinder, we wish to standardize everything. This way, our life is a lot easier. But in reality, the dynamic is absolutely different because, yeah, I mean, our tools are very static, but the reality out there is very dynamic. And here finding, let's say, the kind of a balance is, of course, the art. And this is what we need as a feedback to improve our technology. People, you two, to end the academy year with the two of you is, in my opinion, just a great honor. And I would like to ask you to maybe dedicate some words, please. Elvira.
Okay, so, well, guys, it was a great pleasure. It's always nice to meet with friends in a beautiful atmosphere, even more beautiful because it's Christmas time. And our goal, it's always to do the best for our patients. So if we gather together, if we meet together, if we share our cases and also our mistakes, it's also because we want to do the best for our patients, for saving lives. Of course, we try to do it, but also to make it nice, in a nice atmosphere, and to transmit our passion, our love for this job. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our experience with a lot of people.
Thanks to you, and give our regards to the entire team of Naples. Hug all of them, kiss all of them, including all the men for me, okay? Gabriel.
No, definitely. Thank you, Moja, Catherine, Andy, everybody in the FotoFinder family. Thank you for letting me being here, but especially for the support for the World Congress. It was a huge task for us. We worked a lot together with Horacio, Rosario, Virginia, Emilia. Everybody was working very hard to make a great Congress, and we are very satisfied with the result. But thanks, of course, to everybody who came to Buenos Aires, because there were almost 1,800 assistants. So for us, this was a great success. And again, thank you for everything. We have a very long-term relationship with FotoFinder. I am pre-Moja FotoFinder user. So our relation is a very long-term relation, but thank you for everything.
No, it's a pleasure for us, Gabriel.
And let's do Asadoscopia again.
Asadoscopia.
You're welcome to come to Rosario.
Asadoscopia allows you to see if the steak is really well done or not, or is it ready or bloody. Guys, dear audience, dear dermoscopists around the world, dear passionate dermatologists, dear people who love what they do in this field, thank you for being with us the entire year with the FotoFinder Academy, live events, online events, with Dermlight and FotoFinder at all the congresses that we participated. I see that even today we have got people from every continent here with us. Of course, the majority of all Australians will watch this event maybe throughout the weekend. But again, without you, we would not have been able to make this program as good as it is.
Yes, absolutely. And we count on you for next year, for all the online academies we are planning. You can count on a nice program again.
Definitely.
Together with Moha and me. And yeah, on Monday, the recording will be online. So for those who cannot participate, you can tell your colleagues. It was very nice session today. Share it with everybody and make it accessible to anyone.
And next year in January, right away, we start with the really interesting, again, events of the Academy. In February, the Mole Bowl is a good quiz. You can win lots of interesting awards, FotoFinder and Dermlight products. And guys, stay tuned. Enjoy your holidays.
Happy holidays. Yeah.
And really,
Merry Christmas for everybody. To Naples, to Rosario, to all in the world. I saw there's Raimons from Latvia. Greetings to everybody, all the countries who are here today, all the wonderful colleagues. Kisses and hugs, and Best wishes for the next year.
Enjoy it,
Bye-bye.
everybody. And again,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Elvira and Gabriel, for staying with us
Bye
today.
bye. Thank you again.
Bye bye, everybody. See you
Bye.
next year. See you next year.
See you next year.
It's getting cold here.
Yeah.